god, he cut out with the scream. He screamed his internet out of existence. It's doomed.
Craig is the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, what's up,
Welcome
guys?
back to
Welcome
Real
the
Talking
podcast.
Hours.
Welcome to episode 5?
5?
5? I think it's 5.
5? Hold on, I'm checking.
5, hold on. No, yeah, 5, because 5 weeks.
Really?
Or no, it's 6 weeks minus 1 because we did the best of last week, which you should all go watch if you haven't already. It's a really good
Yeah,
video.
it is episode 5. Well, that's good then. We have a special guest.
Hi, that's me.
Yeah.
What's going on, boys?
Also known as tEKOU production.
Yes, that's correct. I have not copyrighted that yet, but it will be one day.
Somebody get it quick.
Oh my goodness.
But
all right.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, who am I? God,
We found him in the jungles.
Sometimes I don't even know the answer to that
A
question.
caveman.
I kind of thought that to kick this off, Jer and I could tell the story of like how we became friends, because we've been friends for, is it 3 or 4 years now, Jerald?
I
think it's
my
3
freshman
because
year, so 4 years.
Oh, it's been 4? Okay.
So it's my freshman year.
Yeah, so Jerald and I, we went to high school together.
Yeah.
So
Slap that dog.
Cut out my
who is
dog
that?
if you want to, or leave it.
what is that clacking in the background?
Lexi.
That's my keyboard.
The keyboard.
It
Yeah.
it can be cut out in post.
That is
Don't
my
worry.
curse. I hate having
It gets
to cut
edited
that
out in post. It gets
Yeah, I
edited
edited
out.
it out.
Okay.
But that time, because we mentioned
Quality
it, keep it in.
podcast.
That
Yeah.
time, keep it in.
Yeah.
It's a
really.
good start. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so when Jerald and I met, let me see. So if you were a freshman, then I would have been a junior.
Mhm.
And so at the time in high school, I hung out with these 2 other guys that we sort of called ourselves like the lunchroom club. And to be perfectly honest with you, the lunchroom club should have had a podcast of our own like years ago,
It was so
but
good.
it just never
was so good.
materialized. But
It is
these,
on a podcast in the lunchroom.
yeah, exactly,
Ooh,
dude.
that
That's what we
was
wanted
so
to
good.
do.
15
That's what we
minutes.
want to do, because the lunchroom, like 30 minutes, half hour, whatever it was. That was when, we had our best moments. So, like, the thing about our group is that we all have such a similar sense of humor, and we're so good at like, bouncing it off of one another
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And that's what was so great about Jerald coming in, was because, like, we found a 4th guy that also shared that sense of humor, and it was like kind of a really exciting thing for us at the time, because when there's only 3 of you, you feel like it's you against the world, but 4, man, that just
That
just really brings it together.
It.
I'm actually gonna let Jer tell like the initial story of like our meeting, because he remembers it better than me. The
Oh, this
one
is
thing
hype
I
story.
remember is that the magical like fantasy part of this day I remember was that it was happening during an eclipse.
Yeah.
Like there was an eclipse at
This is
lunch
hype.
the day we
It
met
was
Jer.
421.
It was that
Like a
eclipse 4 years
biblical
ago that everyone
event.
was like hype about, because
Yeah.
it was supposed to be like the weirdest eclipse that wasn't supposed to ever happen. It wasn't gonna
Yeah,
happen in
yeah.
8
I think I
years.
remember that.
Oh,
Everyone was freaking out
that
about it because it was
one.
supposed to be like the most darkness eclipse like in a certain
Wasn't it
area.
not even that dark? It wasn't even that impressive.
It depends on where you were.
Right.
In certain
Oh,
places, like
okay.
apparently in like 4 or 5 hours away from where we were, apparently like it turned night. Like everything was.
That's
completely
right,
dark.
yeah.
Outside my house, it got 10% darker, and then it went back, and I was I was like, all right, that was it. Went back inside.
If I remember correctly, for me, nothing happened. I didn't even like, see the
Yeah,
eclipse from
no.
Tunisia.
In Texas,
Yeah.
it got about 40% darker, so it wasn't nighttime, but it was still pretty dark. Like, it was fairly dark for an eclipse.
There
like,
was a weird little shadow there for a
Yeah,
minute or
exactly.
two.
It
That was-
felt like you were in a video. You know, like when you're in a video game and the brightness levels, you mess them up just a little bit too much, and like they're a little bit too dark.
You turn the contrast down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. The contrast is down a little bit too much. You're like, what's going on? That's how it felt like being. Like my eyes didn't like it. So basically, start off the day. I was super hyped, going to school. We're gonna be doing this thing, and I was friends with this kid that we know named Polly. We call him Polly. His last name is whatever, but we just call him Polly, right? I was friends with him through a class that we took. Actually, I was friends with Archer and Polly.
Really, you
and
knew
it's okay,
both
'cause
of them before you knew me?
I knew both
Or,
of them
like, we
before I
were
knew
tight?
you, because I kind of knew them through microcontrollers. So
Okay.
actually, was Archer microcontrollers? I think he was.
I feel like he was, now that you say
I
it.
feel like he was, yeah. I think I was, because I was friends with him, Archer, Polly, and and we don't have to censor these because we're not saying last names. Archer,
Yeah.
Polly, and freaking.
Wong? Is it Wong?
It was Wong and Spencer, so it was the
Oh,
whole
okay,
like
yeah.
crew. And
Yeah,
Wong and
okay.
Spencer are another two people that we were kind of friends with. We were more friendly with Wong, but
Oh, holy
So-
shit! I just put two and two together. You're the guy that always likes our shit on Twitter.
Yeah, yeah, because my Twitter is EVCO Production.
You didn't know
Yeah,
that?
that's me.
Nice.
Dude, but my brain just fucking started working. The cogs started turning, and I put
I've
two and two
said that
together.
before.
Listen, dude. When you post some dank, memes on
Dank
Twitter,
shit.
I'm not gonna not like them
Yeah, I mean,
because
thank
there's
you.
no
Check out the
greater
Twitter.
connoisseur of roasted memes than me.
Oh, dude,
there probably is.
Good.
but-
That one
You
was
can't,
good.
dude. The thing is that Evan has made so many memes about our group specifically that no one else would get, but that we understand perfectly. Like,
I can pull it up right now. I have. I
What is
want.
it,
I want to know
1,000?
how. I don't know if it's more than 1,000. It's in the hundreds for
Yeah.
sure.
But no. So I can get back to the story a little bit. So
Yeah.
basically what happened is that I knew these two people, Archer and Polly, right? And so they're part of the group, right? Part of the three that were originally there.
The
And
Holy
so-
Trinity.
Exactly, Trinity. Yeah, there's a story to that too. So basically what was going on is that I've been friends with them. We just got out of class to go to like at least walk to lunch, right? And so I'm going out my day and I see Polly and Evan and like everyone's like hiding these like sunglasses or these like freaking what are they? You know those glasses? that you
It
can
was
wear?
those weird
UV
eclipse
protection
glasses
glass.
that
Yeah,
had
yeah.
Those ones that go
Yeah.
with the tint in them.
because
Like-
because nobody was in the lunchroom at the time because we all wanted
Yeah.
to be outside to
Mhm.
see the eclipse.
And so they were like starting to be considered contraband because only a specific class was supposed to have them. And so one of our teachers, I kid you, I shit you not, would run around and like take them left and right from kids that were just trying to see the eclipse. And we're like, no, you can't. And like,
Was it Tucker?
It,
So
yeah,
they
it was.
weren't-
It was
They weren't
Tucker.
confiscating drugs. They were confiscating eclipse glasses.
Dude, people were hiding them and like trying to like make it so that he couldn't see them. It was really funny.
That's good.
And
That's
the thing
messed
is
up.
that I kept my pair, but I was walking by and I saw Evan and not Evan. It was Evan, Archer, and Polly were all in a group together and they're just walking around. So I ran up to them because I knew Polly and I was just goofing around a little bit. And for some reason that day, like normally I'm not funny, right? I can be at times, like I have my moments, but normally I'm not
That's
that
so
funny.
sad, Jerald. Why would you say that
Damn,
about
that's true.
yourself?
But
Just
like
a self-rose.
legitimately, like that day something was clicked. Like I was legitimately funny. Like I was just saying stupid crap left and right that was actually funny. And so like you could tell that Evan was kind of getting like an inkling of like, yeah, it's kind of cool. And then the exact joke that sealed the deal is that we walked and I was like, dude, I got some contraband. And I put these like freaking these sunglasses on my head, like on top of my head, and was like walking through to lunch. We sat down at the table, specific table that we have that we all like would sit at and like do this. I wasn't used to it. So I just sat down and just started talking to people. We're just sitting down. And I just turned over to Evan. I just looked at him, and he's just staring at me because, like, I looked at him, and he kind of had like that what look on his face, like a blank stare. And I just took that like the things and like knocked him down on my face and just said, "Blocking out the haters." And like, you could not see through these things,
That's
like
good.
inside. You
That's
just couldn't
good.
see. So like, it was something so random and stupid, and we weren't talking about Instagram or anything like that. And at that point, the block out the haters thing wasn't even like a real meme yet. Like, it wasn't deep fried. So like, it was just so dumb and ironic that he just started laughing. And from that point on, I've been friends with these guys. Like, they've been my
And that's
closest
like-
friends.
Yeah, and that's like the definition of what the lunchroom club was all about. Was like it's all about, you say like 40 or 50 jokes per lunch hour, and
Some of them
there's
land, some of them
always
don't.
there's always that one that's incredibly stupid, but it's incredibly well timed, and that's what makes it so funny.
It
And
was
that's
the
kind of what
blank
we were
stare that
about.
got it. I
Yeah.
guarantee it was just a blank stare because you weren't even like really paying attention. You just looked over at me because like I just was like looking at you, and just the timing of it was really nice because you couldn't see it all through those things was why it was funny. If like I had sunglasses on, it wouldn't have been as funny, but because you couldn't see it all is why it was like actually like
Right.
a funny joke.
Right, and I
But-
knew what you meant right away, and that was like the magic moment that like really clicked because up until then I was just like, who's this weird kid that's 2 years younger than me trying to just come in and take a spot at the table? Like these are sacred chairs, you can't just sit here for no reason. But he earned his spot that day.
I earned my spot that day, boys. And from there, it's been ever since. It's been like just a good pals of mine, good friends, my actual like real life friends. Like I have them. Surprise, surprise.
You have
Wow.
friends? Bro?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
real
know.
life
It was
friends,
Look
dude.
at
it's weird for
that.
me. The funny part is like I actually knew you from before because I knew your little brother Luke.
I mean, yeah, that's
And
true. It's like it's not like we've had zero
you knew I
interaction
existed,
before.
but we didn't
Yeah,
interact. Yeah, you knew I
yeah.
existed, but we never really interacted. The only time that we ever interacted I can think of was like I think I was in 6th grade, and you were talking to that one kid with like the black hair. He was kind of short. It wasn't Archer. It wasn't Polly. It was this one kid. He was skinny. He was good at sports. He had black hair, and I don't even know what his name was.
You have any idea how many people you just described from my?
MCIOY.
Yeah,
I'll have to do
That's
that.
a good
a
piece of the
very
population.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
right? But he was like, he
I
was
know
Hispanic,
10
I
of those
think.
people.
He was just like a friend of yours or whatever. But you were just talking to him, and I walked up behind y'all and just like said something stupid, and you were like, I think your exact words were like, "Gosh, 6th graders" or something like that. I don't even know. Basically, you were
Well,
just
that's
like,
probably. I had a large
That sounds
disdain
about
for
right.
for middle schoolers.
dude, yeah, exactly. Like you always do that. Ever
Even
notice that,
when
like,
I
you
was
get
a
to
middle
8th grade?
schooler.
Yeah, when you get to 8th grade, you're just like, oh, I'm on top of the world. Oh, these 6th
Yeah,
graders,
yeah,
7th graders. And then you get to high school, and you're like, well, I
Did
am
you guys
a
did you guys go to a
No.
school that was like middle school and high school together? It taught both.
We went
It was
to a
lower school, middle
that
school, and high
was kinder through 12th.
Mhm.
Like it was
What?
everybody.
all in the
and
same
so
area.
was mine.
We went to
Yeah.
school on purpose.
Really?
Like we didn't have a
I
building.
My
yet.
school was K
I went to
12.
I went to 3 separate schools.
Well, actually, my school was preschool.
I don't
to
even think
12.
there's a school that does all where I am.
Well, I went
Yeah.
6th
Like
grade.
everyone I
before.
talked to
I
said
didn't. I was at public school at first, and then I got bullied too much, and then I played football. And then I
Private
got
school. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I just
I went
public
from
schools,
public to
you already know.
private, and that was a weird experience because I was so used to like public being like sucky, you know, and like
Yeah.
bullying was like just rampant everywhere. I got bullied.
Well,
really badly
that's
when I was
that's
younger,
like
but-
there's really two ways you end up at a small private school like that. Is either
Mm.
you start from the very beginning because your parents are maybe like connected to the few
Mhm.
rich families that like fuel the school and
yeah.
fund everything, or you come in sometime during middle school because you're tired of getting bullied at public school.
Basically.
Or you do what I did, and your mom gets a job there.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
my mom actually got a job.
You buy your way in.
No, but I got to go for school free at mine because my mom
Oh
worked
my
there.
Yeah, Tunisia though.
strong.
That's different.
Yeah, nobody goes to school for free in America, dude.
That's not possible.
yeah.
that's never gonna.
What? I
Pub-
go to school for free.
Public, yeah, but like it's public school. But what I mean is like private institutions.
Well,
you
public
can't go to a
school-
good
yeah.
school for free. You know.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, but
I went to like
Public schools aren't good, Carol. Do you want to
my high
I
high
don't know,
school is
homeschool.
like my high school is like the halfway between public or
yeah,
private.
you got-
I had
you got
to
lottery,
win a
didn't you?
raffle. Yeah, I had to win a raffle to go to it. But if I hadn't made it the first year, by the second year there were so few people that I would have gotten it guaranteed. My graduate there like because it started with 150 people in every grade. And by the end of it, because a lot of people would just leave because they didn't like it, the last year, like my senior class was probably 20 to 30.
Holy
kids
crap,
total.
that's even wow.
My
Mine's
Crazy.
64, so that's weird. Like
the graduating
Yeah.
classes at my school were 20 kids. Prom, it was pointless to do prom only for seniors at my school, so prom was all of high school.
okay. That would suck. Like doing it with just sophomores and seniors is weird enough, but doing it with
Oh, it was really cool. Everyone's friendly at my
Yeah.
school.
Well, the thing is cool about our school is that like the bullying wasn't there at all because it was too small. Like there was too many nice big kids. So bullying was
I
really hard to
I
do.
disagree, Jared.
It was
Maybe
hard
for
to
your
do, though.
grade, but maybe
No,
for
my
your
grade was pretty
grade,
bad.
but-
It's hard. It's harder to do though. Like, what do you mean? Like
it's harder. It's harder to do. I just mean like okay, it's
physical
not like
didn't happen.
yeah, it's not physical like bullies.
Oh
cornering
no,
and
I'm
rallying
mental
people
is
up.
rampant. Yeah, no,
But
you're right.
yeah, the
but
mental bullying is rampant.
mental bullying is rampant. Like verbal and mental abuse is like rampant at our school.
They stick their fingers in your ears, touch your brain, have a little bit of
they
fun.
twist your brain upside
Nah.
down.
But
The jump
so
start
yeah,
of it.
basically that's how we met, and that's how we
Yeah.
became friends, and we've been friends ever
Been
since.
friends
I mean,
for a
we hang
long
out a
time.
decent bit, but it's
Mhm.
like, but it's been harder because I was a sophomore whenever you and like a little bit the older crew left, like you, Spencer, and like Charlie and those guys.
Jer really got the short end of the stick because all
did.
his friends are older than him.
Yeah,
Like,
and
and a lot of my friends are younger than me, but like I also had some friends in my own grade. So when I graduated, I
You
left
had
behind
people.
a couple of juniors because Archer and Polly were in
mhm,
the grade below me,
yeah.
and then Jer was in the grade below them. So after Archer and Polly left, Jer had like nobody.
I had nobody for the first
Rip.
for the first 2 months of the school. My only friends were you two guys. Like legit, like I
yeah.
had nobody else. I was kind of friends with some
Only
people,
for the
but-
first 2 months.
Yeah,
Dude,
and then
my
after
friends
that,
are
I
still
decided to
only
stop
you
being a little
guys.
shit and like actually start talking to people. And And so I started like actually making relationships with people again, and kind of actually I became friends with Evan's younger brother. So like I became pretty close friends with him and a kid named Will and some other people. But,
shout out to my brother. He's not listening to this.
Yeah.
But...
You should turn him onto the SaltFault.
Yeah, I should.
So Evan, we know how you and Jerald met, but do you mind telling us a bit more about yourself personally?
Yeah. Well, so people who are listening to this, like you guys might get some new listeners from this because I'm going to announce to like my Instagram and my Twitter that I'm guest starring on the podcast. But my friends basically know me as a writer. I like to say that all of my friends are gamers, but I'm not, because the truth is like everybody plays games, and my biggest association with games is just through YouTube. Like I watch like Vanoss and Fitz and those people. But I've always been my like creative outlet has always been writing, and I've actually self-published 3. You would call them novellas, which is kind of like between a short story and a novel.
It's a little bit longer short story, basically.
And I've self-published those through Barnes and Noble, and I did that over the course of the last year so that my friends could go and read them, because it was kind of the first time.
I actually, funny enough, I'll show it on the podcast, or I'll like have Lexi edit it. But basically, I have the first printed copy of his first book ever that was released on Amazon on the Kindle thing.
Do you?
And
yeah, that's right, you do. Yeah.
And I've read through it, and I was gonna do one of them because I'm an actor. I was gonna do one of them for a piece at an acting thing. My teacher shut it down, said that it wasn't gonna work, and I was like, okay,
which was too bad. But
yeah, I was really impressed with the work. I legitimately was impressed. I thought that.
So what kind of genres do you do?
I'm very influenced by basically anything like that. It's kind of suburban America, white kid problems in a way.
Yeah,
I like the old 80s teen movies like Ferris Bueller and The Breakfast
Hell
Club.
yeah.
That was always a big influence for me growing up, and I've been writing since day one. And so like when I was a little kid, I would always write like adventures starring me and my brothers that were like total plagiarized copies of like Indiana Jones and stuff like that. But as I evolved and as I went through high school, I started to have enough experiences to make my own original stories. And the thing about my stories is that like through some small or large, depending on the story way, they're like based off of actual experiences of mine or people that I know. I mean, they're purely they're clearly fiction, but there's always been a little bit of influence there behind that. Basically all the most dramatic or the most hilarious things that I've gone through have tended to inspire me to write something.
That's good. Just like
from reading Fast Checkout, I hope like the ending scene for the first for Fast Checkout itself isn't inspired off of anything.
Don't you spoil it. There could be people listening.
Yeah, but no, it's dramatized, Jerald. It's not like everything that appears in those stories.
Yeah, I understand. But if you want, I can actually read the back of the book right now. Your little description.
Do you want to read the back? Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, the back of the book says, this is the synopsis: is the small collection Fast Checkout and Other Writings explores themes of disillusionment and isolation in suburban America. Fast Checkout follows Preston as he meets strange and new people at his part-time job. For You offers a character study of young women dealing with guilt over selfish decision. A brief interlude of poetry contains 5 loosely connected poems about dissatisfaction, love, loss, love, and the future. Finally, The Gap Year, a one-act play, sees Tom, a college student, and Larry, a woman twice his age, connect over the course of a day.
Huh, that's cool.
That's a small collection of different stuff. That actually happened because the first year I was in college, I took a writing workshop, and there was like several assignments over the course of that semester that actually spawned everything that's in that collection. So the reason I published them together is because they all came from the same place at the same time. So I thought that was fitting. I actually I want to talk about in some way, we don't have to do it like right this instant. I want to lead to kind of like why I started self-publishing last year and kind of what that taught me and where I'm at now. I don't know if there's a way to segue into that.
I mean,
that would be
watch this.
I'll try and make it work.
I can do it. I'll do it.
Oh,
All right, we're segued into it. You can talk about that now. So,
yeah. I got it.
just bass boost that in editing.
yeah. Just
really,
take that,
really crank
really
the
make it
gain up on
loud.
that clap. That's all you need. That wakes
Yeah.
up anyone listening to the podcast when they're like in bed. That just really jolts them awake and gets them ready.
Yeah.
I said, you piece of shit.
Listen in.
No,
But
yeah.
Like, what led you to self-publishing rather than publishing with some kind of?
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, so there's.
I don't know much about writing. Sorry if my question.
Yeah, I don't really know the
Totally
difference, to
okay.
be honest.
The thing is,
I know there's
the
like
thing
money.
is, you don't have to know a whole lot about writing for it to make sense, and in like the terms that I think of it in, because. So I first wanted to like publish. I remember like feeling the urge to publish when I was like 15, which is ridiculous for anybody who doesn't know, because there are very few people who have ever published a story, at that age. I remember
Too little experience.
you guys know the novel The Outsiders, which is about like the greasers.
I've heard
Yeah.
It's a really,
So the woman who wrote that was 16 when she published it. So I was like,
wow, that's
well,
impressive.
if she can do it, then I can, which was, darn foolish of me to think, because it did not work out that way. But basically what happened was there's a couple of reasons that at the time, I thought self-publishing sounded good. For one, I wanted to kind of get used to like the idea of having something that I've written out there in the world for like my family and friends to read, and not put the pressure on myself of trying to achieve an actual, publishing through a book company. Because the thing is, like, you don't have to know a lot about writing to just know that it's super hard to get anything published.
Oh yeah,
I assume through a book company they do a lot more like rigorous, like
especially for a new writer, it takes you basically have to get a lot of recommendations and also somehow get somebody to want to like publish your thing.
It
which
takes a lot.
is difficult.
It's a headache. And the thing is like, I'm a college student with an internship, and writing is like just a hobby and a way of like, relaxing after a long day. And like, I didn't want to turn that into a chore. So I decided, at least for the moment, let's not pursue like getting an agent and, sending manuscripts into all the publishing companies. I just wanted to like test it out and see what like lessons I might learn, from self-publishing. And self-publishing is super easy. I self-published through Barnes and Noble. And basically all you have to do is review your manuscript, you upload it, and they will, have somebody make sure it's not just a blatant ripoff of somebody else's book. And then it's online. And
really? That's just it?
all you have to do to read the stories that I've published on Barnes and Noble is download their app called Nook. And you buy them online, and like you read them through the app, and like that's it. So it's super easy.
I actually have a little bit of experience because I don't even know if you know this, Evan, but I actually do have some experience in writing a little bit and doing some self-publishing things, just specifically because I'm really into poetry and whatnot, and that's like my strong suit is doing poetry, and I actually do write well, and I'm good at like kind of like the more deep philosophical things and kind of making a twist on it, I guess, in a way. And I've tried to write stories in the past, but a lot of it was like based off of other stories, and so like again, it's rip-offs. That's how you always get into writing when you're a kid, is that kind of stuff.
Which is okay to an extent.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you, but to an extent, that's okay, because if I've learned anything over the years, it's that originality, as we tend to think of it, is not really a thing anymore. Because every story has been told.
Ideas are used. Like most good ideas. I think every good idea is probably.
I don't think you understand. When I say rip-off, I legitimately mean like the Warrior Cat series. You know the Warrior Cat series? It was Warrior Cat. I did that with wolves, so it's bad. Okay. It was that kind of how bad it was. And even worse is that I legit took a thought experiment from Rick Riordan that he did. He made a story called I don't remember what it's called, but like the first book's called The Red Pyramid. It's about the Egyptian gods instead of the
I know what you're talking about.
That was a sequel series to Percy Jackson, right?
Yeah, it was
like it was like the same universe.
It was very interesting, same universe. The cool thing about it is like it was cool because the way they told the story was that it was a tape recording, and the main character was reading or telling the story through a tape recording, right? I copy and pasted that into my own story. Like legitimately, it was really, really similar. Like it was so bad. I went back and
I think there's
that's bad.
But
I think there's a
yeah,
line between taking inspiration from something and like changing it for your like own means, which I think that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
just blatant plagiarism.
Well, like,
that was legit plagiarism. It's like same exact idea, almost similar, like almost same concept. But the thing about it was that I was like 10, so it wasn't that bad.
Oh no, yeah. When you're young, it's like
And it was
whatever.
only for me to read too. And the thing about it is like I decided to get into poetry because I am terrible at stories. I have cool stories in my head, but I can't get them out without it. Like I have to learn how to write better, and not term and story wise. But I'm good at poetry. I am, and so I published a poetry book on Kindle, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be so hard and get a publisher. Took like 20 minutes, right? The thing is like the hard part about self-publishing, which I think you can reciprocate, is really getting an audience, because it's a little more difficult than like just being like, okay, I put it on there, now thousands of people are gonna read my stuff, you know?
But again, this is kind of what makes me like, it almost sounds like I'm trying to brag or something, but it makes me different than I think a lot of other writers. Because the thing I've learned I don't really care about is becoming famous or leaving a legacy or literally doing anything like that. You know, I'm not looking to become Stephen King. Like, all I want is to keep writing, because like that's what I love doing. And if somebody happens to read something I write and they enjoy it, then I count that as like, you know, more of a bonus really than the original goal. Because I like to think that I write for myself before I write for anybody else.
That's a really good way to look at it.
Because, I mean, my stories are like, they mean a lot to me, and they've been my way of like coping with, you know, certain things I've been through and how I see the world, and, you know, getting my thoughts together about this or that. And like, if somebody else happens to read that and they like it, that's awesome. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, in the end, I'm really just writing for me. And if I'm not writing for me, then my stories wouldn't be as good as they are.
I love that point, because that's something that I feel like us as like small, like super small YouTubers can kind of understand, is like, we didn't start doing this to get viewers, right? I mean, we started doing this in the very, very beginning for fun, right? It was all for fun. It was all to do that. And then more recently,
like we're still not doing it for fun.
Oh no, we are doing it for fun, but I mean, like, we didn't do it like.
Now we're corrupted by the money of.
I mean, like, we're corrupted by the 4 cents that we've received. No, but what I mean,
Jerald, if you don't think I'm gonna kill you over your cent,
no, but what I mean is like, now we're more doing it kind of like a business idea in a way. Like, we're doing it like we have like little meetings and whatnot. We have a podcast, we post like regularly scheduled and whatnot. It's not necessarily even to get more views. The reason we're doing it is because at the beginning of this whole, you know, pandemic thing, we all were really feeling kind of like down and out about it and not being like, not doing stuff. And we had been wanting like an excuse to restart the channel anyways. And we're like, we need to be productive. This is a way to be productive. And it's also something we really enjoy doing and we love doing together.
I also feel like doing anything that you like consistently, where it actually shows a product, like for like writing, you can look back at what you've done, or like for these videos, like we can like physically look and see all of these. Like, it's good because it shows that you've been doing it for a while and like you're making
progress.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, speaking of progress, that's been like, I don't know. I am actually curious to know if you guys feel this way about what you've been doing on YouTube. But like, to explain what I'm going to ask, basically, I self-published the 3 stories that I did last year. But I look back at them now and I realize that like, I probably shouldn't have self-published when I did. And the reason I say that is because they weren't like as good as they could have been. And I didn't realize that until I saw them like online, like released. I don't know why it took that for me to realize, but basically I think I've learned a lesson that from this point onward, the stuff I'm writing now is not going to be self-published until I've revised it a lot more often. I think last year I kind of got caught up in the excitement of letting my friends buy my stories and read them. And I probably should have waited a little while longer and edited them a little more before I released them. And I'm kind of curious to know if you guys feel that way about anything you've done on this channel so far. Like, is there anything you think you shouldn't have uploaded or you should have worked on or done differently?
Oh.
Honestly, that's something that like
Yeah, bro.
specifically, I know Lexi's gonna want to talk about this, so I'm just gonna say
I can talk about it now. Yeah,
I'm gonna say a quick piece on it, and that's it.
I have my 2 cents.
Our old
Yeah,
podcast is all I'll say. Is our old podcast is what I feel.
So I just, my point's not going to take too long.
Yeah.
I think that there's definitely things that we could have worked harder on. There's times we could have, there's episodes that aren't the best, but I like that we still published our things. I like that we have that stuff to look back on and realize that we weren't that great and that we can improve.
It's a building block.
I don't regret putting out those episodes. I'm glad we put out those episodes.
I agree with that full-heartedly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like I regret self-publishing when I did. I think it's just in a perfect world, I would have waited.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, the thing is like, it kind of bums me out that I've revised stories that I've already published, and I don't want to just keep self-publishing the same 3 stories over and over again, because people will be like, man, can't this guy do anything else? And of course I can. I have, 10 other stories that I'm working on, and they'll be finished, within some of them within this year, probably. But I mean, like you said, yeah, it's good to look back and see that you've improved. But at the same time, it's also, it feels like it was a rocky start, and it's kind of hard for me to just like, accept that it was bad, but it was also good. It's a lesson that I learned. But
I feel like I really experienced something like this because I can say definitely with YouTube, but it more like just really direct example of that is around, I want to say 2024, 4 years ago, I released I finished a game. This is the last one, because I do game design. That's the last one I finished in the past 4 years, and I finished it, and I was like super hyped. I was like, all right, it's done, it works. And I did no touch up, no editing. I didn't like fix anything, so I posted it, and oh yeah, no, looking back on it, it was horrifically bad. There were just bugs, like there was just like people in the comments were like, yeah, this doesn't even work. I was like, maybe take a little longer, then I can be happy with it, even if I can improve.
Do you mind saying which game you're talking about?
I'm talking about freaking. It's not on the internet anymore, so it's as far as I know, impossible to get. I know we still have a copy.
Cat Wars,
No, I never finished that. We still have a copy that's circulating. MLG After Hours, dude. Which I'm making a remake of. I'm making a remake of.
Oh my gosh, that's a classic.
It's almost
a good game.
It was god awful. There's one copy that still exists. It's circulated in these.
It circulates, and it's basically like it's contraband. It is contraband. Like it's legitimately contraband.
Yeah, it's
terrible. But no, one thing I was going to ask you a little bit about, Lexi, was more specifically not just your games, because I understand, because we've talked about this extensively, about how specifically some of your games where we've just had like deep conversations where it's more of an emotional issue sometimes, or like a inner issue with like for me, if I don't finish something, like if I don't think it's good enough, it's like I always try and revise it. Like that's something that we've talked about, how it's like more based on I want to not be like that. Like for me specifically too, I want to be somebody that's reliable, be able to complete something to what I think it is perfection level. Like perfectionism is a struggle in content creators, because you want to always get something perfect no matter what it is, no matter if it's games, thumbnails, videos themselves.
I mean, I'm curious how you feel about that, because no. I think like Jerald said, I have just crippling perfectionism, and I have for a long time. It
does make you a phenomenal editor, and I think a really good game designer, but it's also like you gotta put it in check in a way, Like
it helps, but I need to control it, because like I feel like it can be a motivator, but it can also completely ruin.
It can make sure you never get anything out of it. It makes sure no one ever sees the stuff.
It's a real like double-edged.
Specifically with thumbnails, I noticed that you did that sometimes. Like for me,
thumbnails I just kind of
you used to do it with thumbnails. You'd always update it. But for me, for me personally, the podcast seemed like I'm one of the first people that like suggested we do a podcast, and I've always wanted to be doing one. That was like one of the things, is like the podcast just kind of seems my pet project.
This is something everyone online does nowadays.
Yeah, I know, but like I remember wanting to do it for a long time. I have my old channel, have like.
I'm not even
very,
gonna
very
act like we were original doing it. Jerald can act like we're original.
We did it first.
I'm not saying
Nobody did it before
I'm
us.
saying in the group, like for us saying that we should do a podcast.
Yeah,
I'm, like, the first
I know
person
we
that
originally
suggested-
wanted to do one.
Yeah, I'm the first person that suggested we do one because I remember doing one way back when on my old channel that we did like 1 or 2, right? And they were super
Jerald, we made a channel trailer like 3-4 years ago where we said we wanted to do a podcast. So maybe
exactly.
were. Maybe
and we were gonna do it. Yeah, that was my favorite thing that we were talking about. But like I actually have that on my channel. I still have that trailer. I'm not even kidding.
Of course.
So for the whole podcast thing, like it's like that pet project. You always want it to be better and you always want it to work out, and then you start doing them, and it's like there's actually a few podcasts that were up for a few months. We had them as listed -1 through 5. And then we actually removed them later on because we still wanted them to be there for people that wanted to, if they were new, to come back and watch them. But like after a while you see some things and you're just like, they're so cringy. And yeah, we made the executive decision to remove them because they weren't what we wanted on our like quality on our content. So but like I totally understand what you're saying, Evan, when you come at the point like
I think
the old podcast Jerald gave a little too much of it. He gave a little too many of his opinions on race, but we don't have to talk about that.
Dang it. Freaking
I think it's like
we can't do that.
I think as long as you're doing like other projects while at the same time feeling a bit of perfectionism towards the project you might be working on, like as long that for me, I always have multiple projects going at once. That's because it helps me to like not get too centered on one story and to keep revising it until the perfectionism is just at a ridiculous level. I think it could appear that way because like I talk about, you know, my writing process and what I'm up to like on my social media. And so it could appear that way to like an outsider that I only work on the same 3 stories, but that's because I don't update anybody about stories that are currently unfinished and what I'm doing with them.
Right. I also feel
but as long as you've got multiple projects going on and you balance out that perfectionism, I think personally for me, that's been the key.
I think doing multiple projects also helps kind of prevent this like burnout and just losing motivation on the main one.
Yeah,
it's like if you get bored, you can just pick up something else and then go back to it later.
See, I completely disagree with you guys. Multiple project having multiple projects overwhelms me.
Really?
I don't get any of them done. I feel it's better to focus on one project until it's done.
It has to I think that's just with personality type also.
Yeah.
I've had friends that work both ways. Like some agree and some don't.
Yeah.
Because how I work is I can work on one thing, but then if I get bored of it, I need to do something else until I'm not bored of it, or like it's just impossible for me to make any progress because I just don't even know what I'm doing anymore. It's like I can't do anything here.
I'm more like Rami. I have to work it till it's dead, kind of thing. You know, like that's my opinion on certain things. Like, and I'm not a perfectionist in any way in terms of like. I am a perfectionist, but it depends on what the project is. If it's something simple and normal, and like if I don't have a passion for it, I'm not a perfectionist. That's my issue. It's like if I'm passionate about something, oh my gosh, I will like totally go perfectionist mode on it and get it done, but it has to be one specific thing. If I'm not passionate about something, I'll be a schmutz, and it's really annoying.
Basically, the difference between schoolwork and creative projects.
Exactly. Like if I'm like trying to figure out how to do, like when I was doing music a little bit, I would work really hard on trying to get my music down and work on my voice and also playing instrument and whatnot. And theater specifically was one of the things where I would like work it till it's dead. But on something that I'm not passionate about, like say if I'm supposed to be doing homework or something like that, like recently, I was having issues with my parents on homework and whatnot because I wasn't doing it because I wasn't passionate about it. And I was like, it's not worth it. The quarter's going to end and we're going to have grades set in already. So it's just one of those things where it's really about mindset a lot of the time too. But I don't have the struggles you two have where it's like you need to really like that perfection comes out as hard in terms of like multiple projects because I can't do multiple projects. I have to do one just because I know that I would get like too befuddled in the brain and I wouldn't be able to do any of them at all. So
yeah.
See, I'm not a perfectionist. I'm a control freak.
Isn't that okay? What's the difference though?
I was gonna say it's kind of
that's in the same ballpark at the very least.
Maybe it doesn't have to be good as long as.
With presentations, I'm always like the guy who's organizing everything, and I don't know if you've noticed with SaltFault, I've been trying to organize everything a lot more too. That's my whole thing. But I kind of kind of wanted to lead on to possibly could be a final question, seeing as we're getting close to the end. But
yeah, sure.
This is a different topic. I wanted to know, what is Jerald like in real life?
Oh, this is.
Oh boy. Jer, how much should I tell them? Jer?
All of it.
Ignore them.
Details.
Guys, I don't want to be the one to break it to you, but Jer's like a hardcore coke addict.
We don't know.
Calm down. No. Time out.
See, we know what Jerald is feeling.
The heroin, that was
heroin
a
addict, ketamine dealer.
Dude,
basically
I'm not
all the
dealer
drugs
anymore. Come on.
Come on,
dude, I'm almost off parole. You can't tell them this kind of stuff.
Dude,
It's
I
out on the
just know the
internet.
black tar heroin.
Dude, relax. Your FBI agent doesn't listen to this podcast.
Jerald does white tar heroin.
No, but for real, okay. What is Jerald like?
That's a hard one.
I'm kind of thinking.
It depends on the mood.
It depends on the mood. Here's the thing about me, like, is what is Jerald like? Well, let me talk about myself for a second. No, but the thing about me is that I have several different like groups of friends that I feel like I kind of, jump around with. And so whenever I'm with Jer is always the kind of guy that I like, for better or worse, we usually come together to talk about like all the crap that's going on with our other friend groups.
Yeah, honestly,
we're almost like each other's therapist in a way. I feel like
is very therapeutic.
we have very deep conversations, and Jer has been really good at keeping me focused. And whenever I'm feeling down or having a rough day or anything like that, he'll be the one to kind of come in and encourage me and make me see things for the way they really are and not for how my dreary writer's self wants to see them as. I mean, Jer's honestly, guys, I mean, he's really good. He's a really good guy, and I mean, I love him for what he's done for me. He's been great, and he's helped me mature, I think, despite being younger than me.
Damn, that's weird.
Blink twice if you're being held captive. But
Shut up!
Jared, I know it's an asshole. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he's got a gun to my head right now.
Hey, shut up. You hear the echo in the other room. No. In similar fashion, I mean, I'd say that Evan's probably like I've said this before to you guys, he's my best friend, like real life kind of thing. Is like Evan's like been there for me for like a long time, and it's odd how similar we actually are in terms of like thinking processes. We talked about it, and again, like he said, for better or for worse, we have like very similar like natures in some ways. Like we've actually had conversations where half the time we're not actually like saying full sentences because we'll like actually complete the sentence, like same thought process and same thought patterns, which is good in some ways, but also in other ways, it's like we have the same issues, like not depression wise, but like mentally, like issues that we struggle with are very similar in nature. But it helps because it's like you have somebody else that understands you. And that's why it's very therapeutic talking to Evan a lot about like deeper things, is because whenever something comes up that's like, I don't know who else to talk to about it, I go to him, It's
an almost unexplainable feeling, but like, I will say things to Jer that just over the phone, I can like feel inside that he totally understands where I'm coming from, even if it sounds like total nonsense, where most of my other friends, God bless them, like I'll tell them some things and they'll look at me like I'm crazy and they don't know what I'm trying to say. And I mean, I'm very grateful that I met Jer because we really are on the same wavelength, I think.
That's a very helpful thing. And it's cool because I was gonna say, because with you guys, it's like, it's honestly, it's not as to the extent as with Evan, but I do, like, you guys do at least try to understand, and you don't like try and like act like you understand if I'm going through something super terrible. Like if you do understand, you do get it, but when you don't, you're like, we get it and we're here to talk for you. That's something really important in friends, I think, is like a real friend will not try to like
you say you get it. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, if you don't understand, it's better to just like say like, I don't understand this problem, but like that still sucks than to try to just like, I completely understand. It's like,
I agree. But Gerald's gay in real life, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
No,
I knew it.
He's had so many boyfriends. Not only is he gay, he's kind of a slut.
Okay.
Bit of a whore, you might
say. Everyone already thinks that I'm a racist. Can we not do this one too?
Oh my god. They think you're a drug dealer, drug addict,
a drug dealing racist
person.
Every
Drug
negative
dealing
thing
gay
you can
racist.
think of, Jer's dabbled in it.
Has he
Drug
tried to
dealing gay
talk to you
racist.
yet?
Yes.
Has
Have
he
I
tried
what?
to sell his services to you yet?
No, I don't associate with any of that. I'm straight edge.
Oh, good. Thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Most writers become alcoholics, but not me. I'm drinking soda right now.
Dude,
Straight up.
oh my gosh, you have a Coke
Wow,
addiction.
Jordan.
I
Oh
drink
my
nothing at all. I drink nothing at all. I eat Sonic Ice. I get 3-pound bags of Sonic Ice, finish them in 2 days. It's over.
It's
too
annoying that
easy.
that's actually accurate.
No, I got some today. I went out and got a bag today. We literally pull up at the Sonic drive-thru once a week. Like, hey, can we get some ice?
I didn't even know you could get a bag of ice from Sonic. That's kind of
It must
cool.
be one of their most popular menu items because I swear, like, people are like, just go up there and it's like.
Do they know you by now?
People eat chips, popcorn, toast. Lexi eats ice.
I eat popcorn and ice. That's it. That's all
You
you
eat
need. In
Smart Food white cheddar popcorn.
Smart Food white cheddar is good. Okay, I
Oh my
have
God.
one trick on my snack foods. Get that Smart Food white cheddar, get the white cheddar cheese puffs, and get Sonic Ice. That's all you
I
need.
can't do that. I have to have different meals. I can't one trick.
No.
It just doesn't work for me. I have to have
Back in the day, I ate what was it? I ate those Kraft macaronis like 20 days in a row.
That's terrible. That's terrible for your health and your mental health.
I hungry, I eat. That's it.
No eat right now though. No.
Oh, I've seen something I'm gonna eat. It's blue and it's making a lot of noise.
King's chicken, and then we can add to that.
Yo, funny story actually. Speaking of eating stuff, I once showed up at Evan's house just to hang out. Like, what you came and got me at like 2 a.m. right? It was from like a retreat or something like that.
Yeah, that's how good a friend I am, guys. I'm the friend who will come pick you up at 2 a.m.
He picked me up at 2 a.m. from school because I didn't have anywhere else to go, and
No, he wasn't naked. Shut up. Get over it.
But I hung out at his place the night, and then I woke up in the morning to his brothers just looking at me like, "What are you doing at my house?" kind of thing, and they're like, "Hey, you okay?" They grabbed my foot. But the best part was like, I like ate his food, ate his pasta, and his mom walked in like, "Are you eating my pasta?" And I was like, "Yeah."
And the weirdest part was he was in my t-shirt. Like,
was I borrowing one of your shirts? Okay.
No, you were not borrowing one of my shirts.
I couldn't remember.
That would have made the situation all the more awkward.
That would have been weird. You're often like, huh.
See, my real life friends back in Tunisia would come to my house at 3 a.m. This is one particular story. They didn't do this multiple times. They came to my house at 3 a.m. I didn't know there were 2 of them at the time. Knocked on my door, woke up my entire rang my doorbell, woke up my entire family, and told me, "Hey, dude, I need to talk to you. Can we go on a walk?" I was like, fine. We go on a walk. The other one's hiding around a corner, pretends to mug us.
That's hype.
That's a good prank. Okay, Rob, we're gonna do that to you in Ohio.
Dude, the worst part is the friend who like came to my door was also seemed scared. Like genuinely.
Like, wait, did he know that this was a setup, or he was just like a good actor?
I thought he knew it was a setup, but either he's a really good actor or he was just.
How do you set up that you're gonna like prank mug someone and then get scared of it yourself? How does that happen?
Brought some like bad juju on you guys.
Yeah.
Maybe that wasn't actually your friend. You just y'all got like actually mugged.
But speaking of getting mugged, do you wanna shout yourself out?
Yeah, sure. Well, I am on.
Speaking of getting mugged,
I'm on Instagram and Twitter at tEKOU_productions. If I make any announcements about my writing in the future, then that's where they'll be. If anybody listening would like to go check out the 3 stories that I've published, I'm still very proud of the versions that are out there. So you guys can find those at barnesandnoble.com. We can probably put the links in.
Put them in the links.
Yeah. So that's where those will be. Yeah, that's the most I can shout myself out. I have a YouTube channel, but I don't have videos. I just have it to make my own playlist and stuff. So.
Yeah.
Well,
all right, sweet.
It was great meeting you, Evan.
Thanks for having me on. Like, I have wanted to do a podcast for years, and I'm glad to be on one.
It's a good way to like kind of like let everything out and relax.
I'm glad we took your podcast carry.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't describe it like that.
I bought a microphone and headphones just to do this, like, because I didn't have before.
He bought a mic and headphones.
Yep,
that's worth. I need to upgrade my mic. My mic should be good,
you do.
It's really echoey. It's like a
you do upgrade a mic.
It's literally the same as Jerald's, but for some reason it's worse.
No, mine's not blue stubble. Mine's better.
Oh my god, yours. Wait, you side graded yours.
No. We can't. Thank you for watching. Wait, hold on. Thank you for watching. Check out remember Spotify. Go to Spotify. It's on Spotify.
Everyone right now, go. If you watch it pays us. Go.
Go to Spotify.